Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to create an animation that has a button that tells the movie to play, and we're going to use what's called button action script, and we're going to use what's called frame action script. So what I have here is I have an animation of just a square that's spinning across the stage. But I don't want this animation to play right away. What I want to do is when someone goes to this animation, it's going to stop and there's going to be a button that says play. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a new layer called Actions. And this is where we will add what's called frame actions. Now, just like we add an object to a keyframe to create an animation, we add actions to a blank keyframe to create frame actions. So I'm going to select this blank keyframe here. I'm going to come up to Window and select Actions. If yours is not open, this is how you find your actions or your properties or timeline information. It is always here in Window. So if one of your panels is not open, always come here. You should find it. So I'm opening up my Actions panel here. Whoa, it's huge. Let me size this down a little bit. It's a little bit bigger than I want it to be. Drag it out. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to size this down a little bit because I don't want that big. Okay. So what I'm going to do is add what's called a stop action. Now it's fairly simple. You either can type it out or you can find it. So here's how you search for timeline animation flash. You go into your ActionScript file, select global functions, and you can do movie clip control, and you can do timeline control. We're going to be in the timeline control option, and we're going to select stop. You either can double click on it, you can click and drag and drop it, or again, you can type it out. So it's just stop, open parenthesis, close parenthesis, semicolon. And you notice that stop turns blue, letting us know that it is ActionScript code that is embedded into the program. So what's going to happen now is if I go to my timeline, you'll see that I have my blank keyframe with a little undercase letter A there. And what that means is the movie will stop at frame 1. So if I hold down Command and hit return on my keyboard, the movie is not playing. It needs to have some sort of function happen to tell it to play. And that's what we are going to create right now. We are going to create a button. So I'm going to make a new layer. I'm going to call it button for my button. I'm going to select text here, and I'm going to type the word play. And that's what I'm going to use for my button right now. It's not too pretty, but it will do the trick. Now again, to create a button, you select the object like you would do anything else, come up to Modify, Convert to Symbol, and in the drop-down menu, select Button. I'm going to call this one Play. And make sure it's button and type, hit OK, and now it's a button. Now once you have a button, to edit this button, you double click on it, just like we did in Fireworks, remember? Here's scene 1, I'm inside a button, here's the icon for button called Play. And if you look at your timeline now, it looks a little bit different. What Flash wants to know is what are the states that this button will have. So if you select the next keyframe over and go to Insert, Timeline, Keyframe, it will copy over the graphic. Again, down you can do the same thing, Insert, Timeline, Keyframe, and then hit Insert, Timeline, Keyframe. Now hit's a little bit different. We all know what up, over, and down states are. Of course, I can click on my over state. I can select the text and make it a different color. And then up will be blue, over will be red, down will be blue. Hit state is the selectable area for the button. So right now, by default, just the structure that makes the letter P, L, A, and Y will be clickable. What I want to do is make it so the whole area that this text forms as a rectangle will be clickable. So I'm just going to drag and draw a rectangle on top of it. Now this whole area will be clickable. This red area will not be viewable by the user. It's only here for editing purposes. It will be basically invisible. Once I've done this, I'm going to come here to scene 1 and look, that red area disappeared. Again, if I double click, I can come back over and I can edit the shape of it if I want to. But I'm happy with the way it looks. I'm going to click scene 1, and now I'm ready to add button action script to my animation. Now by default, when we added our actions to our layer, if I select the keyframe here, look what the actions panel says, actions-frame. If I select this button now, look what happens. It says actions-button. It wants us to add some code. Now we're going to come back over to our movie clip control because we're controlling a movie, right? Buttons always begin with the same code, which is the word on. When you roll over a button with your mouse, you're on the button. So let's double click on the word on. Now Flash is going to help us out here. So on what? On press, release, release outside the button, roll over, roll out. What do we want this to do? Let's go ahead and double click the word press. So on press, this button's going to do something. We have to tell it what we need it to do now. So let's go ahead and select between the curly brackets. This is where we actually add our ActionScript code. So click between the curly brackets, hit return once on your keyboard, and we want this movie to go play, right? So on press, go to and play. We're going to tell it to go play. And in the parentheses, we're going to give it a name to tell it where we want to play at. So I'm going to add a quotation mark here, and I'm going to type the word play and add another quotation mark. So inside the quotation marks, I have this random word I put called play. This is important. We're going to reference this in 1 second. But that's it. We have all our ActionScript code in place. So on press, so when we press this button, we want this movie to go to and play somewhere in the timeline where the word play is placed. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to place the word play on my timeline. So I'm going to go ahead and select right next to my actions keyframe. Well, I'm going to add a new layer actually. I'm going to call this one labels. It's always a good habit to have a different layer for each object. I'm going to click my keyframe here and I'm just going to drag it over. So I have a new blank keyframe, or I could have gone up to Insert, Timeline, Blank Keyframe. On this blank keyframe, I want to draw your attention over here to the Properties panel. Right here there's an option called Label where we can give it a name. If yours is hidden, just simply click the little drop down option and let's type the word play in and hit return. What that does is, if I draw your attention back to the timeline, that keyframe has a little flag next to it called play. This is where the code on this button is going to reference this movie to play. So again, I'll look at the code again, make sure I have everything spelled correctly. Spelling is very, very important in Flash. Uppercase and lowercase, and never use spaces between words. I don't want to use the word play this movie. I do not want to do that. The space will become a problem. Keep it nice and simple for Flash. So on press, go to and play the frame label called play, which is now right here. So if I go ahead and hit Command Return on my keyboard, here's my movie, here's my button, I hit the word play, and there you go. It's animating when I tell it to. Awesome. So that's the basic code you'll be learning for this project. So again, to add a frame label, click the blank keyframe, type the name of the label you want in the Properties panel. Always add a stop action called stop if you don't want the movie to play. And then on your button, you'll add ActionScript that tells the movie what to do and where to go play on the timeline. That is everything you will be doing for this demonstration. So what you guys will be doing is creating a 30-second animation in Flash. Our next demonstration, I'm going to show you how to put music in the Flash if you want to animate to music and sound. But again, follow these instructions and create something cool and exciting.